Hey friends, let me take you back to a moment that completely shifted the way I saw my home and my life. It was a Saturday morning, not too long ago. I was sitting in my kitchen, sipping lukewarm coffee, staring at a pile of unopened mail, tangled charging cords, and a junk drawer that was literally overflowing. I had just spent over an hour trying to find one tiny screwdriver, and still didn't find it. That's when it hit me. I wasn't living in a home. I was living in a storage unit with a bed. I had heard about minimalism before, mostly from Pinterest boards and perfectly staged homes on Instagram. You know, the kind where everything is white and there's a single plant in the corner and a candle that never seems to burn down. I always thought, that's not for me. I like my stuff. I'm not trying to live like a monk. But that morning, surrounded by clutter I didn't even remember buying, I decided to dig deeper. And wow, did I have it wrong. So today I want to share with you 5 common misconceptions I had about minimalism, and maybe you have them too. Because trust me, minimalism isn't about living with less joy. It's about making space for more of it. Misconception 1. Minimalism means getting rid of everything I love. For the longest time, I avoided minimalism like it was some kind of bad diet plan, restrictive, joyless, and just not for me. Every time someone brought it up, I'd imagine cold, empty rooms, bare white walls, and people who somehow didn't need books, family photos, or that old quilt their grandmother made. And I remember thinking to myself, if that's what minimalism is, I want no part of it. You see, I've lived a full life. I've raised children, traveled a bit, and collected things along the way that remind me of those moments. There's a little ceramic owl from a trip to Arizona with my late husband, photo albums from birthdays long gone, and a well-worn armchair that squeaks every time I sit in it. But it's the one spot in the house that always feels like home. So when I first heard about minimalism, I thought it meant I'd have to get rid of all of that. The things that hold memories, the things I love. And that idea, well, it didn't sit right with me. But something changed a couple of years ago. My knees started aching more, and I found myself tripping over things in the hallway. There were boxes I hadn't opened in 10 years, kitchen gadgets I forgot I even owned, and 3 sets of dishes for a family that only comes over twice a year. One day, my granddaughter came to visit. She looked around and said gently, "Grandma, do you really need all this stuff?" She wasn't being rude, just curious. But it hit me. I had surrounded myself with things, yet I wasn't really using or even enjoying most of them. That night, I sat on the floor in front of my bookshelf, my prized collection of novels, cookbooks, and old encyclopedias. I realized that many of those books were ones I hadn't read in decades. Some I had kept just because I thought they made me look well-read when company came over. So I asked myself, which of these books do I actually love? Which ones make me smile when I hold them? And you know what? I kept those. The rest, I donated them to the library down the street. It felt strange at first, but then it felt peaceful, lighter. Minimalism, I learned, isn't about getting rid of everything you love. It's about letting go of the things you don't love anymore. The things that no longer serve you. The things that crowd your space and your peace of mind. That ugly but comfy college sweatshirt? Still in my drawer. The quilt from Grandma? Still on my bed. Minimalism doesn't mean living without memories. It means making more room for the ones that matter most. And in this season of life, that's something I truly cherish. Misconception 2. Minimalists are cold, boring, and live in empty white boxes. I used to think minimalists all lived in sterile houses, white walls, white furniture, no pictures on the walls, and not a speck of dust in sight. The kind of homes that looked more like art galleries than real places where people laughed, cooked, or spilled coffee now and then. That's what I thought minimalism was. Cold, impersonal, and honestly, kind of boring. And I thought, well, that's not me. I'm the kind of person who hangs on to birthday cards for years, lines the windowsill with potted plants, and keeps mismatched mugs just because they've got character. My living room walls are a patchwork of family photos, hand-stitched crafts, and a painting my son made when he was 10. It's lopsided and bright orange, and I love it. So the idea of a minimalist lifestyle? It just didn't seem to fit. I figured I'd have to give up all the warmth, all the stories in my home, just to fit the look. But that was before I really understood what minimalism is actually about. One afternoon, my neighbor Helen invited me over for tea. She's in her 70s like me, but her home always feels so calm. Not empty, not cold, just peaceful. She had a few well-loved books on a shelf, some family photos, a handmade quilt on the back of her chair, and a vase of fresh flowers on the table. That's it. And yet, her home felt full. Full of care. Full of life. Nothing was there just to fill a corner. Everything had a reason to be there, and that's when it clicked. Minimalism isn't about how your space looks. It's about how your space feels. It's not about stripping away your personality. It's about making room for it to shine. So I started looking at my own home differently. I didn't have to paint the walls white or buy sleek Scandinavian furniture. I just needed to ask myself, does this belong here? Does this add joy or comfort? Or is it just sitting here because I've always had it? That shift in thinking changed everything. Now I still have my cozy armchair with the floral print. I still light my cinnamon-scented candles and keep my quilt collection in a big old chest by the couch. But I've let go of things that didn't speak to me anymore. Trinkets from souvenir shops. Furniture I didn't like, but felt too guilty to part with. And you know what? My home still feels like me. But now it breathes a little easier. So no, minimalists don't all live in cold, silent boxes. Some of us have wildflower prints, dogs that shed, and old jazz records playing in the background. Minimalism doesn't ask you to erase yourself. It simply invites you to keep what matters and let the rest go. And that, my friend, feels pretty wonderful. Misconception 3. Minimalism is only for rich people who can afford fancy, minimal stuff. For the longest time, I believed minimalism just wasn't for people like me. Every time I searched online or watched a video about it, I saw young couples in spotless apartments, sipping matcha tea on $2,000 sofas and calling it a simple life. Their homes looked like magazine covers. Everything was white, polished, and cost more than my monthly Social Security check. I remember muttering to myself, well, sure, it's easy to live with less when everything you own is top of the line. It honestly made me feel like minimalism was something for the wealthy. Like unless you could afford a new dining set from one of those high-end stores or throw out your old couch and replace it with something designer, you weren't doing it right. So I didn't even try. But then something happened. One afternoon, while cleaning out the hall closet, I found 3 slow cookers. 3. I don't even remember how that happened. One was a wedding gift from the 70s, one I bought on sale just in case, and the third, I think my sister left it during a holiday visit years ago. That discovery made me laugh, but it also made me think. I didn't need more money to be more intentional with my stuff. I just needed to start with what I already had. So I tried a little experiment. I stopped shopping unless I absolutely needed something. No more just-in-case buys. No more but it's 40% off reasoning. I simply asked myself, do I already have something that works? Turns out, I almost always did. The real beauty of minimalism isn't in buying fancy, trendy things. It's in not buying what you don't need. It's realizing that maybe one set of measuring cups is enough. That I don't need 4 spare purses or half a dozen nearly identical scarves. And those things I thought I needed to replace, most of them were just fine once I gave them a little care. The more I let go of, the more space I found, not just in my closets, but in my mind. It felt like a weight lifted, not just off my shelves, but off my shoulders. And you know what else? I started saving money. Real money. No more impulse buys or clutter collecting dust. I wasn't throwing money at things I didn't need. Instead, I was holding on to the things I valued and letting the rest go. So no, minimalism isn't just for rich people. It's for anyone who wants a little more peace in their home and in their heart. Whether your furniture is brand new or you've had the same couch since the Reagan years, it doesn't matter. Minimalism isn't about how much your stuff costs. It's about how much your life feels like yours. If you're still watching and enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you have a story or a bit of wisdom you'd like to share, don't be shy. We're all ears. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Just click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a thing. Every bit of your support helps us keep bringing you more uplifting stories and helpful tips. Thanks for being part of our Elder Bliss family. We're so glad you're here. Misconception 4. If I get rid of something, I'll regret it later. This one really tugged at me for years. If I had a nickel for every time I said, "But what if I need this someday?" Well, I could probably pay someone to declutter for me. You know that voice in your head that pipes up every time you try to toss something? The one that whispers, "Better hang on to that, just in case?" I know it well. That voice kept me holding on to things I hadn't touched in years, just because they might be useful one day. I had boxes of power cords I couldn't even identify anymore. 3 umbrellas, all slightly broken. Sweaters I hadn't worn since the 90s, but still folded neatly on a shelf because, well, you never know, right? Letting go felt risky. Like the minute I got rid of something, the universe would suddenly invent a use for it. But one weekend, I finally reached a tipping point. I opened the guest room closet to get the vacuum, and half a pile of just in case fell on me. That was it. I sat on the floor, surrounded by stuff, and I thought, this isn't working. So I gave myself permission to be honest. Had I used this in the last year? Did I even remember I had it? Did it add value to my life, or just take up space? I started slow, one drawer at a time. I didn't throw away anything important. I just let go of the extras, the duplicates, the someday maybes. And here's the truth. Out of all the things I donated or tossed, I can count on one hand the items I ever thought about later. And even then, I managed. I borrowed a bundt pan from my neighbor for a birthday cake. I used a scarf instead of a belt one time. I didn't fall apart without the clutter, and I certainly didn't miss digging through it. What I gained instead? Space. Clarity. A home that felt lighter, more peaceful. It wasn't just about the stuff, it was about the quiet that came after. And the best part? I stopped being afraid of letting go. It wasn't as dramatic as I thought it would be. I didn't regret nearly as much as I feared. If anything, I wished I'd started sooner. So now, when that little "what if I need it" voice shows up, I thank it for trying to protect me. And then I ask myself a better question. What if I don't need it? What if I never miss it? And what could I gain by letting it go? More often than not, the answer is freedom. And at this stage in life, I think we've all earned a little more of that. Misconception 5. Minimalism is a destination. You either achieve it or you don't. If you ask me, this might be the biggest myth of all. I used to think minimalism was some kind of finish line. Like one day, I'd magically arrive, I'd own exactly 100 things, all perfectly organized, and I'd finally be allowed to call myself a minimalist. Until then, I thought I wasn't doing it right. But that's just not how it works. Minimalism isn't a label or a competition. It's not about perfection or counting your socks. It's a mindset, a way of approaching life with intention. And like most things in life, especially the meaningful ones, it's a journey, not a destination. There are weeks when I feel like I've really got the hang of it. The house feels peaceful, my calendar's clear, and everything I own seems to have a place and a purpose. Then the next week, life happens. The mail piles up again. I forget to sort through the kitchen drawer like I promised myself I would. A few things sneak back in. Souvenirs from a family visit, a sale I couldn't resist. But you know what? That's okay. Minimalism doesn't mean you never slip or that your home has to look like a page from a design magazine. It means you come back to yourself. Over and over again. When I start to feel overwhelmed or notice the clutter creeping back in, I ask myself the same simple question. Does this add value to my life? Not does it look good on a shelf, or would someone else think it's useful? No, the question is personal, because minimalism, at its core, is personal. It's not a set of rules, it's a tool to help you live better, not harder, not emptier, just better. And the beautiful part is, it changes as you do. What added value to my life 10 years ago might not serve me now. And that's the point. We grow. Our needs change, our seasons shift. Minimalism isn't about arriving, it's about paying attention. It's about making space for what matters most, even as that changes over time. So if you're feeling like you're not doing it right, I want you to hear this. There is no right. There is only what works for you. Start where you are. Keep asking the question. Be kind to yourself on the messy days. Because minimalism isn't about getting it perfect, it's about getting honest. And at this stage in life, honesty, with ourselves, with our space, with what we truly value, is one of the greatest freedoms we can give ourselves. So there you have it. 5 common misconceptions about minimalism and the quiet truths I've learned along the way. If you've ever thought minimalism was only for young people, or rich folks with sleek furniture, or those who have their entire lives sorted into neat little boxes, let me just say, it's not. Minimalism isn't about getting rid of everything. It's not about being perfect. It's not about living in a blank space or wearing the same gray shirt every day. It's about making room for peace, for clarity, for what truly matters to you. And here's the good news, it's never too late to begin. Whether you're 35 or 75, you can start asking the question, does this add value to my life? That question has guided me through cluttered drawers, overstuffed closets, and even old emotional baggage I didn't realize I was carrying. Every time I come back to it, I come back to myself. So take your time, be gentle. This isn't a race. It's a quiet, personal path toward living with intention. Some days you'll feel on top of it all, and other days you'll trip over a pile of old magazines and sigh. That's okay. You're still on the path. Minimalism isn't about having less, it's about making space for more of what matters. And at this stage in life, I think we've earned the right to fill our days with only the things that bring us joy, peace, and meaning. Thanks for spending this time with me. If you're just starting out on your own decluttering journey, I hope this gave you a little encouragement, and maybe even a few laughs along the way. Until next time, take care of yourself and your space. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with others. And please subscribe to the channel. It's a huge motivation for me to keep creating more helpful and inspiring content for you.